In this video, I'm going to talk about beats, which is, um, it may not seem like a very significant topic, but it really is the foundation of a lot of things we do in music. If you can't keep a beat or understand a beat, then everything else is going to be really difficult. So, what we're going to start with is just a definition of a beat. The beat basically establishes the tempo. So the tempo is going to be how slow or how fast the song is that you're playing. And so it's kind of like the very base, the very foundation of the music. As I mentioned before, if you don't know the beat of your song, you literally can't do anything else with it. So it's always important to establish that first. Now I'm also going to be showing something that we call here. I'm going to draw it out just so you are familiar with it. So if you see something like that, or I'll just draw a few lines here. Maybe the thinner lines will help you see it a little better. But if you see that symbol, this one right here, it's just the two parallel vertical lines. That one is the percussion clef. And so anytime you see that, that's telling you what the beat is. And if you're someone playing a percussion instrument, this might be more useful to you. But even if you don't play percussion, it just helps to be able to know it, to be able to read it, at least at a basic level. So that's our percussion clef. Now, if you see these little lines or dashes here, and then if I were to draw them out here, maybe you can see it a little better. Those indicate what the beat basically. So each one of these symbols, each one of these is a beat that we're playing. And so, again, if you're reading percussion, that'll tell you what your beat is, what you're playing. Now, when we have a song, we're not just going to be writing tons of beats out on the whole measure. We organize those into bars. So you're probably, if you've done any kind of music, except maybe chord charts, you're probably familiar with a bar. This can also be called a measure, same thing. So a bar is basically dividing our beats up. It's dividing them into what we call a measure. And it also helps us to identify parts of the song. So for example, I might play one style of percussion in one bar and then a different style in another bar. Sometimes you'll see that happen where one bar will switch, do something a little different. And so bars are very useful for that, also for helping us keep track of time. So one of the most common ones you'll see is a 4/4 time signature. We'll get into that a little more. And that's going to be 4 beats. So right now what I'm drawing here is a bar line or a measure line. It's just a single line, single vertical line that divides up. And this marker's not the best, but it divides up our staff or our music into sections called measures. So if I were to draw those out, I have my first bar here. So that's going to be bar 1. Bar number 2 I just did here. And bar 3 is that one there. And so right now I've written beats here. I've done 4 beats. Alright. I could do the same thing, or I could do a different thing, but for the sake of consistency here, we're just going to keep it at 4 for the next bar. So this is what you might see and a very simple piece of music for our beats. Alright, so that tells us beat, 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 beat. You can clap it out. Next bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then again. And those are our beats. Now there's something called a time signature, and that will tell us the number of beats per bar, so the number of beats that we have in each bar. It will also tell us which kind of note we're using, which we're going to get into later, or I'll say kind of note, but also the duration of the beat is probably a more accurate term. So we'll be talking about the duration of the beat in a later video, but just to know, for a time signature, it's telling you two things. It's going to be the number of beats per bar and the length of those beats. So some time signatures you might see, some common ones, are going to be 4/4 or 3/4 or 2/4. Now there are others, but for the purposes of this lesson, I'm just going to give a few. It really doesn't matter right now what the bottom number is. I'm going to be explaining that later. The top number is the one that we're going to be focusing on. So that top number, that tells us the number of beats. So if I have 4 on top, I'm going to have 4 beats per bar. So I'm going to write that 4/4 time as best as I can up here. So that would tell us that we have 4 beats. Now, when we have a 3/4, when we have a 3 on the top, I should say, it's going to be only 3 beats per bar. So I'm going to erase here what I just did. I'm going to rewrite those numbers. By the way, you might not see those numbers written in actual sheet music. They're just there to help identify the beats for this lesson. But if I were to do a 3/4 time signature, maybe I'll do it up here, you can see a little better. That means we have 3 beats per bar. And if we go down to 2 beats, I bet you can figure this one out on your own based on what we've done before. 2 beats per bar means that we only have 2. Alright, and that tells us our beats. It's a most simple form. And again, like I said, I'll be going over all the different time signatures in a later video, but I just wanted to establish beats in this one.